Well, good afternoon, Ken. Thank you so much for being here. I'm very grateful for your friendship.
Pleasure, Pedro. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, Ken, we all know you've been the CEO of Plantronics, and you and I met at the Silicon Valley Leadership Group CEO trip 12 years ago. Can you just share about your background and what inspired you to become a global leader, the CEO of Plantronics, and how you got there?
Sure, I'll try to do that. So let me just say honestly that I was a kid who did not know what he wanted to do. When I was young, my parents were both academics, and I was pretty sure that I didn't want to teach and do research. I wanted to do things. And I went to college, I rode crew, and I was morning and afternoon practices, and that's all I did. And when I got done with college, I still didn't know what I wanted to do because I wasn't going to do that the rest of my life. And so I wound up going to investment banking because a lot of people did that who were smart, and I thought, well, maybe I'll see a lot of companies, maybe I'll learn something. And I did that for about 12 years, and it was about at the end of that I finally figured out what I wanted to do, which is I wanted to actually lead a company. I wanted to figure out where it should go. And that was based on just seeing a lot of companies, a lot of CEOs, ad companies, and I knew that in order to succeed with that, you have to know where you're going to take the company. And to do that, you have to have a business that you can really understand, customers that you can really understand.
Yeah.
And I think I found that in Plantronics. There's other companies out there, obviously, where you can do that, but it was a good fit for me.
And when it comes to finding that fit, and you mentioned purpose, Ken, how would you define purpose, and how would you give advice for a recent grad at Stanford, at Yale, at Berkeley in finding that purpose?
Sure. Well, I think, it's a funny thing because a lot of people tell me, oh, I want to become CEO or I want to, get the top position. And the problem is with that is when you go to approach people at the top, they are looking for somebody who's going to succeed in that role. They're not looking for somebody who wants that role. And I think similarly, when you tell people that you want the board of directors to be CEO of this company, they want to know where you're going to go and why you think that's the right path. And so I think if you're going to become CEO of a company, you need to understand deeply where should that company go. And that involves really understanding the customers, what the customers are going to need in the future, how you're going to be able to deliver what those customers are going to want in the future. And so, at least to me, it's this kind of Darwinian model. It's not so much about survival of the fittest as it is about evolution of the fittest, where you are constantly adapting what that business is to where it needs to be in the future. And so as long as you communicate to the organization broadly and thoroughly where we have to go, why we have to go there, how we're going to get there, then people will support you and you will get that effort, and people can be driven by that mission, by that opportunity to, if you bring to life why that customer need is going to be there, you get people on board, you get people excited.
100%. And you mentioned about building that vision and clarity, right?
Yes.
Where the company is heading. You also mentioned about the evolution of the fittest. Ken, could you elaborate a little bit more on that philosophical, theological background? Are you a person of faith? Do you believe in God, ethics?
Well, I definitely believe in ethics. I do believe in faith. But having said that, this to me is I wouldn't call it so much theological, although I do think that there is a huge part of ethics in this, because if you put it this way, the purpose of business is not to make money. That is a side effect of serving a big customer need, because that is how the value is actually created. And so if you don't have ethics, you're not really trying to serve customer needs. And at the same time, I always believed that we had to treat employees very, very well and with a great deal of respect, because if they're not treated well, why in the world do you think they're going to want to treat customers well? Why in the world do you think they're going to care? You look at so many organizations and you hear this saying that 70% of the people don't care much, 10% are on board enthusiastic, and 20% are actually trying to, you know, undermine the business. And so if you can have a higher level of effort, a higher level of caring, not because of a stick, but because people are interested and excited about where you're going, then you've got a winning formula.
And how do you create that culture of happiness, of belonging, of people caring? Is it through mentorship programs? Is it through feedback surveys? How did you do it at Plantronics?
Well, I think it's a lot of different things, but part of it is putting people first, expressing where you're going and why. I mean, when I was CEO, I used to write every 3,000 people, every single person, a birthday card, every single person, a holiday card. We did a lot of things to recognize people, to mingle. I did a lot of skip level things. I did a lot of listening, okay? Trying to understand what it was that people were feeling and experiencing, because, you know, you can assume things from the top down, but that's not the way it is. But what I did also try to do was really make sure I understood the customer, and again, the future customer, really, really well. Because if you're the CEO and it doesn't matter how efficient you are, everything else, if you're going the wrong way, there's no way you're going to be able to fix that. So as CEO, more than anything else, make sure you know where that organization has to be and why. And you keep immersing yourself with information. So the future is always a little uncertain. Sometimes where you're going has to adjust a little bit. Make sure you're on top of that, because the earlier you adjust, the quicker you can adapt. And people have to understand that that's the game in tech. You know, it's kind of constant adaptation, and it's exciting rides. And the road to success is not linear. There are changes, there are setbacks, there are things like that happen. But when I joined, we were about 120 million. When I left, we were about $1 billion.
Wow.
And you know, you can succeed over time. You can enter into new markets as long as you really understand, you know, what you're doing. And the only way to understand that is to get deep into the customer.
You mentioned the details of like writing a happy birthday card or a Thanksgiving or Christmas or New Year's or holiday card. As a devout Christian, and you've heard about my faith, I love giving, being generous. I love just having empathy. I think embracing empathy is key today for any leader. What are your 2 cents on the next generation of leaders now that everyone's AI centric and kids today are addicted to screens? What's your advice there? Should we focus more on the soft skills, on emotional intelligence, on grit, on tenacity, on public speaking?
Well, I mean, it's all these things, because it always is. I mean, you know, the world of AI is opening up so many compelling opportunities. And so the opportunity to rethink, you know, again, what are people going to need? How can we most effectively deliver it? It's going to be a rich set of innovation opportunities. So I think that, you know, the potential for society to advance more quickly is at hand. And so for anybody who's got an interest in leading, you know, immerse yourself in thinking and understanding, where is this going? What are people going to want? Where are going to be my opportunities? And there's going to be many of them.
Thank you, Ken. And as you said, it's not just wanting to be CEO, are you going to succeed?
Yes, because that's what people want, is for you to succeed in that role. The people are going to put you there and going to keep you there. They want you to be successful. So focus on becoming a successful one, and really think about what you're going to do if you get there.
And last quick question, what are 3 words that you would describe for a successful CEO? Like you said, money is the byproduct, but what are some 3 words for a successful CEO?
Well, I think if you're a great listener and an active listener in that context, somebody who's very empathetic, who really gets it, you know, not just the logic, but the emotions and what's motivating people, what people are going to want. I think that's important. And, you know, you do have to hold yourself to a very, very high standard, because it's a big job. And so, you know, you don't take perks, give perks.
Give perks, don't take, give.
Yeah.
Better to give than to receive. on Scripture.
Yes.
Well, Ken, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
God bless you. Really appreciate your friendship.
Thank you very much.